Come on in, pull up a chair and take a load off, because today I'm going to review and page through Cyborg from Stockholm Kartell and Free League Publishing. Should fans of MÖRK BORG and cyberpunk be scrambling to add this RPG to their collections? Or will you find this role-playing game only brings you the blue screen of death? Well, you're going to find out right after this. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang channel. As I mentioned in the open, today I am going to review and page through Cyborg from Stockholm Kartell and Free League Publishing. This is written by Christian Salin with artwork and graphic design provided by Johan Nohr. This 168-page hardcover is available now, carries an MSRP of $49.99, or you can grab just the PDF alone over at DriveThruRPG for $24.99. All that said, let's swing on over to the other camera, because here I've got Cyborg. A couple of things I want to mention before I jump on in. First of all, the fine folks over at Free League Publishing were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this review with you. These days, it's important that you know that. Also, we're not going to look at each and every page, but I do want to give you a very good feel for what's in Cyborg and share my thoughts about the game as well. All right, let's jump on in. And the first thing I want to mention is the production quality of this book is top-notch. The paper stock is excellent, really nice and thick, which is actually very important because this book is going to have to hold up to repeated use at your game table, because there are a ton of random tables your game master is going to use in this core book. So you're going to be utilizing these pages and flipping through quite a lot, especially seeing there's no index or table of contents. So if you are familiar with MÖRK BORG, or as many people refer to it, MÖRK BORG, you're going to feel right at home with Cyborg. And the core mechanics of the game are identical as well. So as you can see, we have that Stockholm Kartell presentation. As I mentioned in my review of MÖRK BORG, I can kind of take it or leave it. I understand a lot of people love it, and it is very cool, but sometimes I find it kind of detracts from the usability of the book at the table. Not as much so with Cyborg as I found with MÖRK BORG, but still, sometimes it's a little bit distracting. Now, Cyborg is a cyberpunk role-playing game. It is a rules-light cyberpunk role-playing game. And I got to point out, this is very grim and dark. In fact, it's probably the darkest cyberpunk setting I've ever encountered, because not only has this world gone to hell, it's also entering its death throes. So very interesting setting. And as far as the setting information, you're going to find we have some pages with some paragraphs devoted to the setting, but you'll also find a lot of setting information in the random tables too. So as a game master, I certainly recommend that you read through all of the different tables, because it'll give you a much better feel for this setting. So as I mentioned, this is a world that's entering its death throes, and we have miserable headlines, which are events that are bringing about the end of the world. So when we get to the 7th headline, that's it. Game over. I really do like these events. They are very cool. And that final event, that final headline, which I'm going to make sure that I don't accidentally share with you at the moment, is very cyberpunk-esque. I like it quite a lot. I have to point out that this game feels much more designed towards running campaigns than I thought MÖRK BORG was. And that is a big bonus in my opinion. Now, of course, granted, this is a world that's going to end because when that last headline arrives, that is it. But still, I can easily see an ongoing campaign with Cyborg far easier than I had with MÖRK BORG. So as far as the game system itself, nearly identical to MÖRK BORG, although we do have a bit more crunch because we have rules for guns and automatic fire and vehicles, things along those lines. Of course, we've got all the cyberpunk tropes with the various different gear and augmentations and things like that. But this is still a very rules-light system. So we've got our abilities. So we have 5 abilities. There are attributes, but in Cyborg, we call them abilities. They are agility, knowledge, presence, strength, and toughness. So we do have classes in Cyborg, but you can also play Cyborg without classes. So depending on if you're using classes or not, that's going to determine how you roll up your abilities. But regardless how you roll them up, you're still going to end up with a range between 3 and 18. So what those are going to do is they're going to provide you with either a bonus or a penalty to your D20 rolls. And that is our core action resolution mechanic, is a D20. So we have tests. So anytime you're trying to do something that's not just a given that you're going to be successful, you're going to have to roll a test. And what you're going to do is you're going to roll with an applicable ability. You're going to add the bonus or subtract the penalty from a D20 roll, and you're going to compare it to a difficulty rating. Now, our baseline difficulty is normal, which is a 12. So you're going to roll that D20, you're going to use your modifier, and you're looking to meet or exceed that difficulty rating in order to be successful in what you're trying to achieve. So, of course, with combat, we have different weapons where you'll be rolling different dice to determine what sort of damage you do. And we have armor as well, and the armor reduces damage. Once again, depending on the armor, you'll have a different die that you'll roll in order to deduct that damage from what you end up taking. But all in all, pretty simple to wrap your head around the mechanics of the game. So I got to point out, if you are looking for a very rules-heavy, really, really crunchy sort of cyberpunk game, Cyborg is not going to be it. So we have 6 different classes, which are included in the core book, and we've got our traditional cyberpunk style character classes, although you are playing misfits and punks. And the big main rule to Cyborg is, regardless if you are performing a mission for or working for minions of corporations, cops, or the capitalist system, you never sympathize or show loyalty to them because you are trying to bring them down. So we've got our gang member, we've got our hacker, we've got our nanomancer, we've got our corp killer. So we have 6 different classes for you to choose from, and each of the classes has a couple of random tables where you're going to roll a d6, and it's going to kind of customize that character class a little bit more for you. Also, we've got tables for our wants, quirks, current obsession, to kind of flesh out the backstory of the player characters too. Keep in mind, Cyborg is not a game that you're going to spend hours rolling up a character and creating a very detailed backstory, because this is an OSR-flavored role-playing game. So I do want to point out that we do have a bit crunchier rules for combat. We've got optional rules that you can utilize as well. I certainly did appreciate that. And the game is actually designed to be very modular. So if there's an aspect of the setting or the system that you're not overly keen on, you can easily toss it out. Keep what you like, toss out what you don't, and you can easily home rule Cyborg as well. So we've got, as I mentioned, all the trappings of cyberpunk. We've got the futuristic gear, the augmentations. We have nanotechnology that give you powers. We've got, in fact, that's what we're looking at right there. We've got drugs. So a lot of different memes or tropes that we would find in cyberpunk stories are included in Cyborg. So we also have a section that's going to include different NPCs, different creatures that the player characters might run across. Stat blocks are very short, very to the point. You're not looking at page upon page of like background information about these various different NPC types or beasts. But pretty cool overall. A lot of very interesting adversaries to throw in the path of your player characters. So we've got loads and loads of random tables throughout. And one of the cool things in Cyborg is also our mission generator tables. So I'll be the first to point out that usually role-playing games that have randomly generated adventures leave me cold. Never find them to be very good. But the mission generator in Cyborg is actually really well done. And you'll randomly generate missions for your player characters, and they actually come off really well. I do want to mention that there is a resource pack that Free League Publishing had released, and I shared a first look at it. So if you want to get a much better feel for that resource pack, check out my episode of the Gaming Gang Dispatch, where I did a first look at Cyborg, and we actually took a pretty deep dive into that resource pack because it includes not only character sheets, but also maps for all of these randomly generated missions. And really, really cool and very useful as well, unlike some resource packs I see from time to time for role-playing games. Then lastly, we are going to have an introductory adventure. It's kind of a heist adventure, and it's got a very OSR vibe to it. We've got our different maps that are keyed, and then we have the various different locations that are broken down into just little bite-sized chunks with a lot of bullet points, so you can easily run this adventure at the table. So really like this adventure as well. So I thought that was very, very well done. Now, of course, we've got all of our pertinent information on both the back of the front cover and the front of the back cover. So you can kind of just jump right between the two of these for most of the tables that the Game Master is going to utilize quite a lot. Although, as I did mention, sadly, there is no table of contents or an index. So you're going to find yourself flipping around this book quite a bit as a game master. So that is what's in Cyborg. Let's swing on over to the other camera so I can share my final thoughts as well as a review score. So if you happen to have caught my review of MÖRK BORG, you know I liked it, but I wasn't completely blown away like a lot of people out there. And I mentioned that I didn't really think MÖRK BORG was a game that was aimed at players or game masters like myself. But that doesn't mean I didn't appreciate the cool stuff that was in the book. And the same goes for Cyborg as well. Got to point out, I do like Cyborg more than I did MÖRK BORG. I don't know if it's because we don't have a slew of cyberpunk role-playing games, so it's not as if I've seen a lot of this before. Maybe that's it. But all in all, I think this is a really well done, rules light, OSR flavored cyberpunk setting and role-playing game. Now, keep in mind, the setting is very dark. It's very grim, and some folks might want a little more hopeful cyberpunk in their gaming, but I do find this setting to be very, very interesting. And of course, as a game master, make sure you read those random tables because there is a lot of setting information contained in those tables as well. I could easily see running Cyborg as a campaign. And the introductory adventure that's included is more than just a one and done. So you should be able to get a couple of sessions of gaming just out of that introductory adventure. And then, of course, you've got the mission generator that works really well also. So on a scale of 0 to 10, I give Cyborg a very, very solid 8 out of 10. I certainly do recommend it. And as I just said, I like it better than MÖRK BORG. So keep that in mind as well. All right, that is it for this time out. If you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and if you do subscribe, ding that bell, because it'll not only let you know when I upload original videos such as this review, it'll also inform you when my live stream, the Gaming Gang Dispatch, airs Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. Central, right here on YouTube. And of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you won't find here on the YouTube channel. Thank you very much for taking time out to watch this video. And until I see you next time, here's hoping each and every one of you gets to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.
Oh, hey, you're still here. That's okay. You don't have to leave just yet. In fact, why don't you subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel right here, or take a peek at the latest live stream, or even find out what YouTube recommends you check out from the channel. And of course, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thanks again for watching.